Good afternoon, y'all. Welcome to You Ask, We Answer. So excited to be here with you all. Again, if you don't know, my name is Michelle. I'm the Chief Operations Officer here at Women Engage. And so it's been a minute, and we have a lot to catch up on. If you guys have been able to tune in throughout the year with us, we've had like our legislative roundup earlier this year. We had an amazing and dope episode a couple months ago with one of our amazing interns, Mercy Kibbitt, and that was led by our dope, amazing manager, Sierra Lewis. However, I realized that we didn't get a chance to properly introduce Sierra. So I wanted to join in at the top part of this episode, especially just given that like it's been like 5 years almost to date since like the first time we started to You Ask, We Answers. And I'm really excited for us to really dive into these conversations, talk about the things that are going on, um, really get in the weeds about everything that's happening between the government shutdowns, the upcoming elections, and beyond. And so I want to first introduce Sierra Lewis, who has joined the Women Engaged team and has been with us since I want to say like the 1st of July. Don't quote me on that, but has been really leading a lot of our programmatic work around We Vote, We Rise. They're the manager of leadership development and grassroots organizing and bring a host of experiences both in and out of Georgia that work to cultivate new and emerging leaders all across the generations on how we can come together and build community. And so without further ado, please welcome Sierra.
Oh, this is so cool. Hello. Thank you for that introduction. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. I was waiting for like a little drum roll. Like,
You know, we got drum rolls now.
we'll work on it. I'll work
We
on
got drum rolls.
it.
Like, I feel like we do. No, wait, the wrong drum roll. We don't want that drum roll. It's the one
It still works.
next time.
Cool. It's cool. It's cool.
Yes.
Well, I'm so excited to be on this call. Ready to get into this conversation. Um, these are like the conversations that I be having. I want to have with my friends. They're like, Sierra, you talk about politics too much. So I'm so glad to be able to do this work with you and get into this conversation. So I want to say, can you see who's in the chat or like how many folks are on the live?
Um, I can
I kind of
somewhat.
can. I just want to say hey to y'all, and let's just like get it started off with focusing on you guys. We want this to be a conversation, right? Y'all aren't just gonna be sitting here watching us go back and forth. Like, even though we can't see you, we're breaking that fourth wall in this conversation. And today we're just getting into like number one, what in the world is going on? We're living like in times and like we all know it's kind of shaky, but we're still just waking up and going to work. At least that's what it feels like for me. Um, but I want to just check in on y'all. Like, what are y'all hearing? What's happening on the streets? What are you feeling? And we'll start there. And Michelle, you can answer too.
Oh man. I mean, like, oh, there's a lot happening, right? I'll start with like the most like least daunting part, which is that we're entering Halloween weekend, which I love. I saw somebody refer to it as that because Halloween is tomorrow. And so it is definitely a Halloween weekend. And so there's a lot of like really fun activities, things that are going on. It's much cooler
Mm-hmm.
this week. And so like the weather just came out of nowhere. It just was like,
Mm-hmm.
ow, bring out that winter coat. And I was like, okay, climate change. Usually in Georgia, we like ease into the cold.
Yeah.
I ain't never had to break out a winter coat in October. So
I'm still trying to be like a little bit delusional, like, okay, it's just the weather, it's just this weekend, but like, because it doesn't make no sense. Like, I didn't move to Georgia and expect to bring my winter things with me for real. Like that was
it's a time. So that's like the middle part, right? Like the fun things, like, and of course, you know, the election's coming up. I personally am planning to dress up tomorrow and go vote at the polls.
hmm
It's something that I do every year. The poll workers enjoy it. And I don't know, it's just a fun thing. Like for one, I love costuming. I love doing stuff like that. And it gives me a reason to just be out in public dressing the way that I be dressing. And so I do like this year I'm really leaning into SFX makeup. So I piloted a look last week. So I'm excited about that for the upcoming elections.
I'm so excited to see what you do.
Yes. It's like a jester. That's honestly where the hair is coming from. I'm channeling like
Ooh,
a jester type of vibe.
yeah,
So like, yes.
I love it. I love it. I will. I was like planning voting early for myself, as well. And I'm like, I don't even have. I could go to like Velma. I don't know who else to go to pose as, and I'm like not good at the makeup. That's all your thing. Like, it's gonna have to be my energy. So we'll see. We'll see. I got some ideas, but super duper excited. Um, I want to jump in. I just want to jump into this conversation and just like address the fact that we have presidents that are breaking the law. We have I don't know if you've gone to any like government website recently, but like I went to HUD just to look up housing resources, and there's a very blatant message. Like the first thing that pops up is due to the Democratic government shutdown, um, these resources will not be allocated. And just like the messaging around that, like I can't even go to congress.gov without like seeing like this confusing propaganda. Now, as someone who's like into policy and like is able to navigate these things, I'm a little bit like not a little bit, very surprised and disappointed at what's happening. But I'm thinking about all the people who just use these, who are going to these places looking for resources that maybe they've never looked at before. So I just want to kind of put some order. Is there a way that we can put order to this chaos that's happening, or put language to what's happening um, currently at the federal level, and then kind of talk about how it's impacting us on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, I think for one is that like I think about the Hatch Act and the ways in which like the government should, remain neutral in its kind of way. Um, I think about the ways in which we're like highly politicizing this moment in such a partisan manner, given that like Democrats are inherently the minority. And I should also mention too, and I forgot to mention this at the top, like we're definitely a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are nonpartisan and purely do this in an educational manner. So anything that we say that talks about politics or anything like that is um, really just us talking about an educational way. We could talk about what people who are already elected. We're just not going to talk about candidates in that kind of way unless it's like in a very equitable standpoint. So wanted to name that before I continued on. But so I think that between that and like the amount of propaganda, because it's kind of like interesting to me that like Democrats who make up the minority of Congress, they're trying to place the ownership of a shutdown on them.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, like regardless of who's in power, most political anything is bred on compromise.
Yeah.
And being able to compromise on items. And so after the effects of the big bill this summer, and now Democrats trying to bring folks to the aisle to have conversation, the fact that we're not seeing that happen is the issue.
Yeah.
I think also too, like the blatant targeting
Yeah.
against, quote unquote Democratic states or areas is also something that's a little bit like, what's going on, right? Like what are we doing? Like, and how that is then directly impacting folks.
Yes.
But I think the rhetoric and the reality are two different things.
Yes.
Because we know how many people are actually receiving benefits who are being paid through the government, things of that nature, and it really impacts everyone's bottom line overall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about, we of course know that like WIC and SNAP are halting as of right now, and so folks won't receive benefits around that, and how that impacts especially like children, people with disabilities, things of that nature, especially like at a time that's like so close to the holidays, where we have a lot of holidays that are surrounded by the traditions of food. We're getting colder months, and so it's very disheartening, and we're living in a time where folks are just like needing to come together, and yet we're getting so much like bombarded with stuff that continues to try to drive us further apart. And so it's pretty sad, to be honest.
I see this as like an opportunity at the levels in which like we typically commune with family and friends, and like use that as an opportunity to maybe ignore what's happening. It's creating a intricate space of being able to like address the realities of what's happening, and coming together and creating like new traditions. I think that we've kind of settled into like a very hyper individualistic society. Folks don't come together. Folks don't really present their true problems at the dinner table and things like that. But we now have the opportunity to do that, to reach out to friends and family, and really see what what needs need to be met. For instance, with like what you said with Wix and SNAP benefits being shut down, especially here in Georgia, who is not using state funds to compensate, or at least still continue to provide that. Um, we can tap into that. Specifically, food banks. I spent a lot of time. I don't want to jump too fast, but looking at what food banks were providing in the area. I have a list of like 7 of them. Some, and we can bring up. I'll bring up some of the banners and QR codes for folks to scan. But pages that were like, for instance, the community food bank, Atlanta Community Food Bank, no traction, no social media like noise prior to a week ago, and now they're going viral for the services that they provide. Because we're starting to see those daily impact, the immediate impacts of this government shutdown starting to happen at a very real level. So I really want to ask you, Michelle, or more like just have this conversation about beyond the political theater, how are folks being impacted on the ground?
Oh my gosh. I think folks are just now really kind of starting to feel the effects of it. Like we're in a space where a lot of people actually do live paycheck to paycheck, and we're just kind of getting through the pay cycles where this is the first like real pay period that people who are furloughed or who are still working for the government, are not receiving their funds.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's definitely like a need for people who are looking for more passive streams of income right now. I'm also thinking too just about like the amount of energy around like how to cut costs around food, um, the energy around volunteering. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly, feel very much privileged in the fact that like I have a great community of folks who are all very interested in like how can we, um, really meet the needs of like our community members. So like folks are having conversations about volunteering, how we can reach out to folks, making sure that it's there, and so people can get the things that they need. And so I think that that's something that I think about that's happening really on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, though, outside of it, it does unfortunately take away space from the importance of the upcoming election that we have. So like in Georgia, we of course there's a lot of local municipal elections for like your city council, your mayor, your other areas. I would definitely say make sure to look at your sample ballot, okay? If you don't know, because each area is different, has different structures. But particularly for Georgia, that everyone's elections are in is the Public Service Commission, which has a direct impact on environmental policies, things around the pricing around utilities, things of that nature. And I know there's been like a lot of conversation, especially like this summer, with the
Mm-hmm.
cost of like electricity and blaming it on the data centers. And what's funny is that like we haven't even been impacted yet by the actual financial burden that will bring, and probably won't feel that
Mm-hmm.
for the next couple of years. And so there are other things that are going on that we need to put our attention to when it
Yes.
comes to that race. And so it's like that's also happening. That's kind of like in the background of everything else. The world is definitely on fire. That's what I.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the local elections, and how that's kind of been quiet. We've been doing phone banking. A lot of folks who are registered voters have been like, I honestly, until you called, I didn't know anything was happening. Or they're saying like, oh, I don't see as many signs up. Um, so I would love to amplify what is Women Engaged doing right now to meet the moment for local elections. And also, if you plan to vote, there's this cute QR code in the top. It should be right on the screen. Go ahead and scan that, okay? And share that with your friends. And it's so easy, y'all. Like it takes like 5 seconds, I promise. Put your name and you can like sign up to get reminders if you want to for the election. But it's gonna be right there and it's gonna keep on coming up. Now, right now, we're at like 91 registrants or pledges to vote. By the end of this call, I would love to see if we can at least get to 99. So
You know what's so funny is that we're at 99 right now. I just pulled it up. Like,
okay, so I gotta change it. I gotta change it. So like 110, 110 is my goal from this call, from this live. So we'll see where we go. That's awesome.
No problem. And I'll drop in the link in the chat for folks too, just in case you can't scan right now. Funny story though, okay, about scanning, right? I know this is so a little off topic, but just to help folks who are listening in, because I didn't know you could do this. Because I used to be like, why are people putting QR codes on videos that I'm watching? But if you, depending on your phone, because I'm a Galaxy Samsung girly.
Yes, yes.
But if you take a screenshot of it and then tap the QR code, you can just go directly to the link that way too. So folks who don't know that, you can scan QR codes actively on your phone. Just take a screenshot, or you could even double tap on it. Sometimes your phone will bring up a little marker and you'll be able to like do that. And that's because, unfortunately they're pushing AI on everything, but that's like one of the caveats that are coming through with that is that you can now scan QR codes. So like to your point, you can try it today, scan that QR code on this video, or you can check out the link in the chat to get to that as well.
I learned that I feel like a little too late about you can actually use your QR code, because like it used to make me so irritated when I saw QR codes on social media flyers, because I was like, like
What am I gonna do? Right? It's like, what am I doing?
What can I do with this? Because like I don't have another device. But yes, these new integrations definitely come in handy. The screenshot of QR code, it works dandy for me.
Yes.
All right. So, wow. Let me refocus again. Refocus. Local politics.
I mean, okay, because you were talking about like stuff that's on the ground. I guess like talking from your perspective, because you're the one who's working directly with the team, putting in that work, knocking on them doors, doing all that type of stuff. I know you talked a little bit about the conversations and stuff, but I guess it's like once you have those conversations, how do people feel thereafter?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I really have to there's been so many different avenues. I'm gonna start with like disillusionment, and then I'll end on hope. So folks are like the angry, the disgruntled, are like, I'm not voting. Nothing ever changes when we vote. And then I'm like, okay, well let's ground this conversation just a little bit. Let's start off with the fact that your vote does matter. And if it didn't, the powers that be would not be doing everything that they could to keep that from happening. But also taking the fear and the anger from like what's happening at the federal level into you can do something about that locally. Like, yes, we know what's happening, but like, let me slow down. Let me reframe. Slow down and reframe. The frustrations and the anger that you have, and you feel like you don't have any place to put that politically, you can put that into your voting power at the local level, and have really been able to like ground the conversation when things feel out of control. That's what it seemed like. Like you just kind of feel powerless, small, out of control. Things are happening, and you don't get to really create an impact. When we bring it down to the local level conversations, like, okay, these are the folks that are controlling your budget. All right. These are the folks that you can go to when we talk about wages, protections, affordability of your city, making sure that you can stay in the home that you live in and won't be kicked out. These elections are the ones where those things start to happen. And if we're not protected at the local level, then yes, the chaos from the outside will impact us even more. But when it's come to also like we've had conversations with canvassers about, well, we can't convince anyone that it's important to vote if you're hungry, right? Like when your stomach like when your stomach is rumbling and that's the only thing on your mind, you wouldn't even be able to convince me that is worth going to vote when I have to figure out how to feed my family or whatever's happening. So we've been able to like really capture the essence of the moment, and that's been let me slow down. That's been something that we hear often. Also, like, I did not want to bring reparations into this call specifically, but that's what's happening when we're having conversations with older folks who are like, specifically older folks who are committed to voting because they know like this is a right that that can be taken away so quickly. The conversations about what do you want your grandkids, what do you want your families to experience in this country? Are they voting as well? A lot of folks have like been concerned about the state that we are heading into, which pushes them to the polls as well. So it's been kind of a mix of both, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And I also want to bring something in from the chat, highlighting this. Hold on one second. many people are tired and feel like their vote doesn't matter. It often comes from seeing the same problems year after year or feeling like politicians don't listen once they're elected. I really appreciate this point because it's something that I feel like, I mean, okay, I'm only 34 years old. I wouldn't name that, but I feel like it's something that I've heard most of my life, especially being someone who was like activated at like such a young age. And I feel like oftentimes, you know, that does come from a place of the fact that like this country continues to misrepresent and miseducate how the process actually works and what can be reasonably expected from politicians. I think a lot of times folks and who are being elected do run with like really good intentions, but when you really break it down, like beyond all the political rhetoric, all the stuff like that, like systematically speaking,
yes,
we're in a representative democracy. We're electing representatives who are representing hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people, to get in a room with other people who are representing other people of that same caliber.
Yes.
To come up with joint solutions that are mutually beneficial for both. And sometimes depending on where their background is, if they even know what they're talking about in terms of like, are actually like astute and like are informed about how things and processes work and are listening to like the experts or like the specialists or whatever, sometimes those things are running counter, right? In terms of what people want. And so it is something that's based on like compromise.
Yes.
And unfortunately, over the years, people in this country in particular has continued to push this rhetoric of this idea of winners and losers. And it continues to do us this detriment where we're always seeing like, again, those same problems and issues. I think that's why, like, particularly for me, because a lot of folks are like, how do you do nonprofit work if you can't like, you know, rally around a candidate? And I'm like, that's the reality though, is that the issues persist regardless who's in office. Now, granted, I say that with a grain of salt because the issues persist in different ways. Because like we're currently in a government shutdown, so I want to name that I'm not divorced from reality in that way. But I'm saying that like when it comes to the ideas of people having difficulty with food security and housing, that has persisted before now. People having issues around housing has persisted before now. It's being exacerbated. It's much bigger and much more dire right now. But saying that like these issues are continuing to happen, and so there's that part. I think the last thing is the level of like accountability. I tell people all the time, I was like, I don't know what kind of job you can ever be selected into that then you're hired and nobody checks in on you until something goes wrong. Because I mean, like, you know, I think about like I had to challenge myself with this too, and I'm like, I studied political science and went to thousands of student loan debt for this. It's like, yes, I have a lot of critique for them, but then also I have to ask myself, do I have a relationship with these folks? Do I contact them? Do I have a conversation about it? Because in this country, we've never experienced an election where even like 50% of the electors vote. I know you hear this on top about the same. I'm like, we've never seen an election where people who are registered, who are registered to vote, actually turn out to vote. Even at half the capacity. So what do we mean when we're saying like, oh, you know, it's not working? It's like, well, we're also not taking action in that. And that's oftentimes where the United States in particular is different than other countries. Like people like to romanticize things that happen in like France, even the revolution that happened in Egypt like 10 plus years ago. These are all because like they live in countries where it's socialized that you are a political person who is actively engaging in the process beyond just the elections. And so that's one reason why I really like being at Women Engaged, because we do a lot of work, of course, around the elections, but beyond the elections, because it's important.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, you said number one. Every time you say that, like, like it inspires me to continue. Like for real, like when I think about how can I really convince people in this moment, in this time, that voting is worth it? That statistic will do it every single time. We just haven't seen the capacity of what that power looks like. We have not seen the turnout that could really yet push the expectation or even like make you feel like you're being participating in this political process. So
yeah. I know, right? It's like, you know, one thing that cracks me up a little bit, not cracks me up, but that I think about is that like, so we did work around the Public Service Commission race in 2020/2021. And something that also came back from a lot of folks that we were talking to was that they didn't even know what the Public Service Commission did.
Mhm.
And even the folks that we talked to when it came about like who was in control of utilities and stuff like that, they thought was resting with like their mayor. So then I also sometimes I'm like, you know, we say that like politicians aren't doing the work, but it's like, do we know who exactly? Because like, I feel like the government is so big.
Yeah.
And not in like, oh, big government, bad, small government. Like, no, I mean like just the actual system of people who are elected into positions
Mhm.
who make decisions on policy. So like, I'm not even talking about government workers. I'm just talking about like the little structures. And there's so much that's there that we don't even like talk about
Mhm.
at all. Like, I'm talking about like in our education systems where we're teaching people about how to vote, stuff like that. Like, I know a lot of folks could probably relate to because I've been there where you try to go vote and you get in the ballot box and there's like 11 questions on there with like a page of text and you're like,
What?
and it's talking about all this, that, and the other, and you're just like, why am I just not hearing about this? And I don't understand the implication of what this means to me. So yeah.
It took me a while. Like just from like being an early voter, like just going in, being told or like knowing what I was gonna vote for, to like really like sit and process like, oh, okay, this is what's really on the ballot. And eat like beyond the ballot, like what happens after that? What are these processes? And even when the person that we vote for gets elected, like you're talking about like you talked up earlier about like how let me slow it down. What I heard was change takes time. You said it takes compromise to address some of the issues that we are facing. I also wanted to touch on that point that like strategy is a long run. We know that like running programs or they're running organizations like takes years to improve, to perfect. And like when it comes to testing out if something works, like let's say like for affordable housing, there's so many policy solutions on what can help to um, bring more affordable housing or to stabilize the market. It takes time, and I think that like building that continuous relationship in government so that even when a specific elected official is gone, the program still exists, the program still runs, the needs are still being met, because it's even if a singular party, and I'm even if no, like I'll say singular imaginary party stays in office for 20 years, but different people come in with different programs and different strategies, we're still not going to be able to see um, long-term impacts. Also, that's another thing, long-term impacts. There is no way that decisions that for certain policies that are being voted on this year are not being impacted by things that happened 20 years ago that are already set in stone. So like having a real grounding
Yes.
like um it's so important to like understanding the context of how we got to where it was, and it wasn't just because of the last 4 years
Yes.
of policy.
It's like exactly that. And I think it's like it brings us so many things. It's like on one end it's like, because I always feel bad. This is where the work for me gets a little bit sticky sometimes, is that strategy is definitely a long game. And especially like changes in the larger government structure, especially the federal level, takes time. And like the seeds that led us to this started, and I have a running hypothesis, back in 2001 with 9/11, and that's a whole other like theory. I think about that meme of that guy with the poster board from that one show, like this is so boring, like, and all the, because I have a running theory for that. But I say that to say that like also too, though, I hold that like especially for folks who have always had to struggle, is that like it's hard to ask for that level of patience. You don't have that patience anymore, or you can't afford that, because I'm like, just to be frank and just to be candid about it, like people are dying and have been dying because of the inactions and inabilities for us to be able to move certain things. People are suffering with like debilitating conditions that could have been preventable. Folks are struggling in ways that they don't need to struggle. And I think sometimes it's like, having those kind of conversations. But that's also where I think, to get back to it, that's why like local really does matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like local politics super matters. And I feel like a lot of times, like in this country, we focus so much at the top of the ticket, whether it's governor or president of one specific branch, when there's so much more in tandem. And I'm just like, and I told people all the time, I was like, don't let these one positions or these like 2 or 3 positions punk you out of participating in literally other thousands of positions that impact your day-to-day life.
Yes.
Like, there's just so much more at stake when it comes to that like even if you decided to, I'm not saying you should, because I would love for you to vote on every single thing on the ballot. But if you decided to skip the thing at the top of the ticket, there's still so much more that's happening there. And because we know it's a lot, this is where my plug is. You need to find a political home like Women Engage, other trusted people, because I tell people like to do this work is a privilege.
Yes.
And also too, I am privileged in the fact that like I have a background and understanding the things that I do, and I can help decipher some of those political jargons and stuff. And I always have to lay out the reality that like, and I know this number has increased, especially now with content creation, but the average number of jobs for people in the Atlanta metro area is about 2.5 jobs. I think it's upwards to like almost maybe 3.25 now in order to make ends meet. And that's just, if you're doing that and you're also raising a family, I can already tell how overwhelming it is when we have conversations like this. It's like, you're not doing enough and you need to do more. Like, do more where? Like, everybody has 24 hours in a day. What does that look like? And so I think that's where, again, like this relationship building, trusted people who can like vet the information, give it to you in a way that you can feel confident in understanding it and being able to feel empowered to make those best decisions for you versus like this thing that has always kind of happened, depending on what it is that people are just parachuting in and telling you what you should do. Like, vote no on this thing. And it's like, well, what is this thing?
Yes.
To do? Like, why are you telling me? And those are the types of things that sow distrust, especially if you vote for something and they tell you it's going to give you one thing and it doesn't happen. So it's like, I don't know. Those are like all the things that I've had to tussle with, especially doing this kind of work in this type of context, because I'm like, the overturning of Roe v. Wade has been a long game for like the last 50 years. And there have been systematic efforts to chip away at that leading up to the Dobbs decision that, we didn't necessarily connect the dots on. Like when we think about like the different hurdles that people were being placed in through law and like the little caveats, like they were nitpicking at that for a while to get where they needed it. But my thing is that I also understand that for the communities that we represent, we can't necessarily afford to wait another 50 years.
Yes.
And so that's why I was like, it's kind of like, where does it leave us? And that's why I'm like, I feel like now, where I tell people like the best thing that they can do right now is building community and finding political homes with folks who they can trust. And that's why I always offer, like, it's low-key like the altar call. Sorry, y'all. I'm a Black woman who was raised in a Baptist household, but it really is like an altar call sometimes. And it's like, get in somewhere with folks who are willing to hold space for you, and knowing what's going on to have conversations and dialogue to really hold space in that way. That's something that I'm really proud about in the work that we do. Because like, you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to know every single thing. You don't have to do all that type of stuff. There are literally people like us who do this for a living.
Yes.
Just trust that we're here to do that. And that's like, honestly, that's where this conversation gets real meta, because that's the whole point of Ask We Answers and how it was inspired, because we were getting questions from the ground, from people who we were talking to, and they were like, having all these things. And instead of us always having to like have these transactional things, it was like, how can we make this more accessible? And how can we make it more of a conversation versus like us just talking at people? So that's why we invite folks on the show. That's why we ask all of y'all who are listening in now, put your stuff in the comments. You can also always DM us on social media. That helps us fuel like next episodes, because we're always about like, how can we curate this space to meet y'all where y'all need us to be? Because like, I'm not about this whole elitism of talking over people's heads and like, oh la la, because that it's off-putting to me. And I came from the academy. So I can
That's
only
that's
imagine,
fair.
right?
That's fair. I love that we get to have a space. Like for me personally, right now in Atlanta, if I didn't have Women Engaged, I don't know where else I would be having these conversations or the space to process what's happening. So I truly appreciate being number one, being a part of this organization, but that we like get to provide that space. And for any of y'all in the comments, like ask the questions that you don't that you be scared to ask to other people, or like, or the conversations that people try to push off to the side. I think that's not even think that's what we're here for, to be able to process what's happening, but then to just activate within us that we have the power to do something about it. Um, Even when it comes down to, like, for instance, um, understanding that politics, especially local politics, is accessible as well. Like, you can go to City Hall and have conversations with your local elected officials already. You can show up. I went to Atlanta Public, I get it wrong every time. APS, Atlanta Public Schools,
Mm-hmm.
um, board meeting or Board of Education meeting, and it was like the most involved I'd ever seen a city in, like in any form of like government. Like, it was the coolest thing. Like, Atlanta has that fire. Like,
Good.
we have things to say. People have things to say, and will speak up. And so don't ever be fooled by like media not showing you what the groundwork looks like, because there's people who are knocking on doors every single day, showing up to every city hall meeting. Like, there's like follow, like, not the big names and the big organizations, like the community people who have been experiencing things that they're tired of, quite frankly,
Yes.
for a lifetime. So I'd also like want to put that out there. Like, we're not the only ones that are doing the work. You just gotta be willing to come in and do it, and we're gonna let you do it alone. So
And
yeah,
we're gonna have fun doing it. I think
yeah,
that's the other part. Like, I think a lot of times, especially just like folks will see education or political education as like a very boring process. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be.
no, it
Like,
doesn't.
I'm all about how can we sprinkle some joy and some fun into stuff, because that's what really sustains the
Mhm.
movement. That's what sustains people staying in what's going on. And so it's like it can be a fun time and a good time too, even as we're doing this, because it's all there. But I
Yeah.
also wanted to present a fun fact. I always like a fun fact about like that point about education, because that is such a huge point. Because lately there's like a lot of organizations like Rep GA in particular that I want to highlight, who does like trainings for people who are interested in possibly running for office. And
Mhm.
a lot of times people are like off-putted by the idea of running for school board, but school board is really where it's at. Like, in
Mhm.
2022, when the second round of Brian Kemp v. Stacey Abrams, the race that resulted in the most voters showing out for wasn't governor, it wasn't lieutenant, it was
Mm.
superintendent for the Board of Education for the state of.
Wow.
And that's why I was like, people are like, and that's why I said, like, to your point, it's like it's not always gonna be shown in the media.
Mhm.
Folks are not. It's not going to be the thing that you see on your TikTok page. It's not going to be things that are necessarily trending on Twitter and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But folks in community are invested in these ways, and I think especially for us as young people, and I say us as young people as somebody who's aging out of youth, but for young people in particular who have been in the school system within like the last maybe 5 years,
Mhm.
I really want to encourage young people to get invested in that, because you actually have direct and lived experiences about what it means to interact with public schools now.
Yes.
Because like even for me, like I graduated high school in like '09,
Oh
right?
wow. Wow.
Wait, was it '09? Yeah, it was '09. So it's like, and to me that seems like just yesterday, but in the grand scheme of everything that's changed, especially in a post 2020 context, it's
It's a
so
whole
much has
different
changed.
world. Yes, it's a whole different world.
Right. Like, in like terms of like what's being there. And so y'all are really actually the most poised, in my opinion, to really be invested in those things, to really make it better for the young people who are literally right behind you. Because in the next 5 years, y'all are gonna be the new young adults like me, and I'm gonna be the like super adult. I don't know what the
It's
I don't
a
know what that next stage
different
is
word.
called. But like I'm just like saying, in
Yeah.
terms of like how we see the progression of
Yeah.
things, because these are things that we're not thinking about. And I'm like, if you're invested today, if you decide to have a family in the future, then you're already in the stages of having a community that's more situated
Yes.
for the future that you want. Um, because that's something that I wish I would have done when
Yes.
I was, and I say that in the sense that like I was activated, like I was working in my city government at the time, like I was activated, but I would have been more focused on like education stuff
Mm-hmm.
in the past than I was then, because I really wasn't. I was more so like in the policy realms of other things. So yeah.
Because like when we were getting started, or at least for me, I feel like when it came to like change, like social change, policy was where it was the route that we were taught to go in and just dive into it and then figure out the rest once you get there. I would love to talk though about youth activism and what that looks like. We talk so much about building community, but like you said, things have changed drastically within the past 6 years, specifically with like COVID and like just us. Community became an online platform, so much more than it ever has been. But youth, they're turning up. Like there is no question, no doubt about how we feel and how we are reacting to what's happening.
Yes.
How so for me, and I before I ask, like and it may be my algorithm because my TikTok knows me, but like it is a daily account of what's happening, and folks in the comments are talking about how to organize like on the micro level again. Like how do we take this to a Discord channel? How do we show up? I've seen like mutual aids be funded just off of like getting enough traction on social media to like fund certain services and certain programs. How do you think social media has played a role in building community in Women Engaged?
Oh my gosh. Like, um, what am I thinking of? It's like a caveat,
Yeah.
right? I think social media gives us a great space to build community with people who are like-minded, different affinity groups. I know I'm a part of that as a gamer, as a cosplayer, as just an all-around nerd. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And that's good. However, on the flip side, it can also be like a bastion for misinformation.
Mm,
And I think, and also too, sometimes some very like, for lack of a better term, like toxic culture
mhm.
that butt up from it. Only because I think sometimes we expect perfectionism from people in our communities, and that's not necessarily there.
Mhm.
Being able to hold space for people when they're super wrong and being okay with being uncomfortable about that. And I'm not saying like, definitely take it with a grain of salt. If you're in harm's way or somebody's detrimental to your health, do what you need to like take a step back. However, I'm of the mindset that like with social media, it's like trying to have a space where like we're not always dragging people.
Yeah.
Even though I do appreciate a good drag at times. But knowing that dragging folks or calling folks out isn't about actually holding anyone accountable. I think we
Mhm.
sometimes misuse that word as much as it's more so a part of the performance. And I say
Mhm.
this as somebody who's a very seasoned and trained debater. And like because even like when we used to back in the day, and I mean back in the day before my time, public debates and
Mhm.
public forums, or like the soapbox, right, was a place to publicly have discourse where you would have two people on different sides of a topic who were equipped with evidence, okay,
Yes.
some type of facts, um, having a public conversation about what's going on, and not in an effort to sway the other person to something, but more so as a tool to educate the public.
Mm.
They could have something to go back with. And that's honestly like before I even started Women Engaged, that's how I tooled my social media for a while. And honestly, how I even started getting into like streaming online from the jump, because 2016 happened and I had a roommate at the time. We were both in grad school together. It was like, we gotta start talking about this stuff. We can't hoard the knowledge anymore. You can't do this type of things. And so that's where I think like we sometimes miss the plot with social media, because
Mm.
it's a great time to perform and
Yeah.
to inform people about it around it, but it has to be in a type of environment where people are respectful.
Mhm.
Because I saw Amanda Seals on that one app with her round circle and her going head to toe with all those
Yeah.
black conservative people. And I'm not saying the work has to be done in some way, but that's not the structure that I'm talking about. I mean more so like, how do we have public discourse
Mhm.
and hold space for this without necessarily being so attacking of people,
Yes.
but then also to make sure that we're having our spaces. And I think we're getting there, to be honest.
Mhm.
When I was younger, people weren't having conversations like this, like young people in
Yeah.
particular. Like my friends were just like, "Oh, that's Michelle just doing her little political thing," and now more young people are part of it, and I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I think now though is that like I also find young people apologize the most.
Mm,
Right? And that's okay. Don't get me wrong. We can apologize. But it's like almost like this idea of like this curation of everything. And if you don't do things perfectly, that therefore you have to do these types of things. And I want us to start being able to hold a bit of both and like, yes, ouch. Like, I'm sorry that I may have offended you. Let's go here. Or that I'm sorry that I did this and I own to that and I'm learning more. Now let's do these types of things.
Yeah.
I think outside of that though, like it presents again opportunity. Like, I mean, people are tuning in from wherever they tune in when they watch the show. Is accessibility. We have the ability to like have fun.
Yeah.
Bring in fun things. We did game streams in the past, like all that type of stuff. You could show visuals and pictures and things like that. Get more fun with things. I'm all about how can we have conversations that are accessible and fun. And so I think at Women Engaged, we've really been leaning into that a bit more. And also even like our storytelling, like if you go on our YouTube page, we got our voter stories. We partnered up with animators and artists from Pixar, and they animated like stories from the Canvas team in terms of like their voting experiences and stuff like that. And so it's like, it's a beautiful thing, and we can make beautiful things happen online.
Yes.
It's a matter of being able to hold those spaces and also do it in a way that's genuine. Like, and nobody's trying to get infiltrated. Nobody wants to feel that. Like, I know I don't want to feel that. But that, like, we can have community online and be genuine about it. Like, I think back to like how when I was younger, that idea that like, oh, when you're in conversation with people, it's not appropriate to talk about politics, religion, and money. And I'm like, I have literally done that all my life. All my life, I have talked to people about that. And I was like, I just don't get how we get to spaces where we can't build community if you're afraid to talk politics with people. You can't bring any type of alignment with the people that you're holding space with around that until you do that, whether it's happening in person or online. And I can say for myself personally, like I've done this even with family members where I've been able to have conversations with them over the years. And even though I don't like, because my family knows me, I can come at people real hard, but I don't in these cases. And over time, I have seen how us having conversations and just putting information out there has moved up more progressively over time. And that's like a really beautiful skill to have. It's hard. That's what I say. I'm not saying that this is the easiest work, but we're here to assist with those types of things. So, I just wanted to highlight that. Also, just bringing up, thank you for commenting. I appreciate folks who are commenting. Shout out to you for doing that. I want to invite more people there. But yes, I definitely miss those debates. I really do. Like debate, such a good time. Like the great debaters. I wish we were back in times like that. And in fact, we could I'm just thinking about all the things we could do. I would love to have a debate.
I want to. Like I haven't even, I feel like that was my training ground. Even like when it just came to like knowledge and having these conversations is like not how do you feel. Learning how to debate or the art of debate and like just having conversations helped me to like framework all of this and like this is not just how I feel. This is the evidence to back it up. Here are the resources. You can tell like when you put time and thought into
like, you get the comments on Instagram too. This is great.
Oh man!
I know.
I can't even see
y'all like the system. So it's funny. We have this window right here that we're on, so I can see some of the. But yeah, so they're talking about like to your point around like having this place to like cut your edge on it. People were saying that they would love a debate.
Yeah.
Marshawn Tree says it's important. The repetition is powerful.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, like, it is. Thank y'all for coming.
So you were a debater?
Was I a debater? No, I was scared. I was friends with.
Okay, I just was curious. I was like, were you a debater?
No, I had to learn. Like, my friends were in debate club, and I am a debater naturally, but I had to learn those skills. Or even like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, growing up, there were things like if I wanted something, there was no just, oh, can I have it? Like, I had to. This is why I want it. This is the value in having it. I learned how to do that in all of my work and everything that I did. I would love to start seeing that again. On all level of politics, debate,
like a true debate. Like we can, because when I tell you, so I was all up. So it's if y'all got children, the organization is called the National Forensic League. You can learn about 3 different types of debate. They also teach oratory, all this type of stuff. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I was struggling before I did that, and that's how I became the speaker I am today. Wow. People are like, "Oh my gosh, how do you talk about these things? How do you do this?" Shout out to Hickman Mills High School that no longer exists back in Kansas City.
Oh,
that's what they did. So I just want to shout that out because it's like, yes, because it's like you had to have like a value statement, like
yes.
your points of contention, and like you had to research things, and like you would then talk about the other person, and be like, what's more relevant, and like having a whole like just because information is newer doesn't mean that it's relevant to what's going on. How do you like understand another person's like perspective and hold space around that? And so, okay. I'm in speech and debate, but I'm on the speech side, but debate will always have my heart. I feel that. Oh my gosh.
One of my favorite debates is James Baldwin and William F. Buckley. That is like, for me, like the epitome of the art of debate. Like I can listen to that over and over again. The way James Baldwin, like, I don't know, he's just one of my favorites. Let's just put that out there. So anything he does, I love. But just like that level of precision and knowledge and like confidence and like even knowing everything that your, I'm going to say opponent for lack of better terms, is going to come with. Let me I'm bring this back to Yawa. But I'm sorry, I'm bringing it back. You know what we're talking about over here. We are part of continuing this discourse. We've got action in Instagram. So I'm gonna ask them a question that maybe we didn't have enough folks in the beginning. I would love for y'all to share what are some of the things that y'all are experiencing right now. Like, do you feel like you are like experiencing a word of chaos and still just having to wake up and go to work and act like everything is fine? Or like, how does that feel for y'all? Or what feelings come up when y'all think about politics right now?
Yes. And as they get that answer, because I know they're doing a thing, shout out to y'all for tuning in with us, because I think we're coming up on the hour too.
I know.
This is such a I have ideas, because I was like, what does it mean if, one time we have this? So we got Leah who said yes to your question.
Okay.
Can we all play in the sandbox from Marshawn Tree? The Love Productions is saying, I'm seeing people discuss counter debate tactics in politicians and media, like red herring and straw man, etc., like the different fallacies.
Wow.
Okay, y'all. Okay. I see. This is why we got to come back. We got to bring this back, because I do think. Never mind. I'm going to hold that.
You can't do that, but okay.
Okay, like, it's really, okay. I think that sometimes, and it happens a lot of times, like the latest example is Therapy Speak. When things become mainstream, that sometimes they're a bit misappropriated. So that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
Like, because I'm also on those part about like the counter debate tactics and like how to point out the different fallacies and stuff. I think there's definitely a way to do it, and I'm also just a matter of like, debate is fine, the conversation is fine. We also need action. And that's okay, in the sense that like we all contribute in a way that we can, right? So if your contribution is in the conversation or the debate, we thank you. And I just want to challenge you a little bit. Maybe, sign up for Women Engage. Maybe come to a plan to volunteer with us next year. Doing those types of things, I think, are ways to like take it another step further. Because I think sometimes, and this is the part where the social media part is a double-edged sword, the ways our brains are wired, the psychology of it, the dopamine of it, we sometimes feel like we've already done the work that's necessary by engaging in the debate online.
Wow.
And sometimes that, it puts us in a space where we're not necessarily connecting with the people here and now. Because that's something I had to challenge myself with, like, especially over the years, because I would stay in these apartments, but I was like, do I know my neighbor? And the answer was no. Like, right? It's like, do I ever have a conversation with like, when I'm staying in an apartment, like a property management or like my neighbors across the street, like, how are we having those conversations with those folks? Because yes, online is great, but my online community doesn't necessarily stay in the same place as I am. So,
fair.
Yay! Well, thank you for joining. Sorry, I just saw this is Kalia. Oh, Kalia, girl. Okay. I was like, sorry, I was like, it's Kalia. Like, oh my gosh. She said that she's coming to support, that she's new, but she does
Oh,
she's telling everybody, she said she's shout out to her, okay? Okay, young up and coming.
oh
We're
yeah,
here in Atlanta doing some
yeah,
amazing work with our team. And so
yes.
thank you for that. We love a good endorsement.
Thank you for
Uh,
showing up. I appreciate it.
sorry.
Oh man.
Because I was like, I recognize his name, but like I'm
All
still
right.
learning user handles. I apologize.
I have a question. I'm also going to answer it too. In like everything that's going on, what keeps you committed to doing this work, and what's one tangible way that you can give our audience? What's something they can do to like tangibly be a part of movement and change right now?
Oh man. Oh, that's big. Okay. So I'm gonna start with the latter and then go into the other part.
Yeah.
So like one thing that you can do to do change right now, and it's just I would say pick something and then do it. And what I mean by that is that like don't feel the pressure to do everything at once. Just pick one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If right now I know for myself, I'm really feeling for the stopping of the benefits. Food banks are asking for donations.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, they do prefer money because they can then go and buy things sometimes for a significantly reduced price than us going out and buying those items. But if you also have those items in your pantry, that could be something that you can do in the immediate.
Mm-hmm.
There's of course taking the pledge to vote, all those things we talked about. But other than that, I would say just having a conversation with someone, like maybe it's your friends, maybe somebody who you haven't engaged with, and just bringing up a topic and just engaging with that is also something that's really great to do in terms of like a next step.
Thank you.
In terms of the motivation thing, I am motivated. I want to preference that with I am motivated. And I also am a person. And so when my motivation is weak, it's the discipline
Mm-hmm.
to see it through.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think sometimes selling the dream that we're always like, woo, yeah, because I'm also, having
Mm-hmm.
to see the news headlines, having to see the things that are there, figuring out the ways in which how we continue to speak power into ourselves in moments that seem sometimes like not as powerful or
Yes.
as great to us. So like I want to always be very realistic about that and how I come into things like that. But it's moments like this,
Mm-hmm.
having conversation with you, having conversation with community members, that really like brings out like it like just recharges my batteries and keeps me going, because then it's like I see those changes. And like we've been able to see people. I've worked directly with folks who like we had somebody who last year was on the team and voted for the first time in 20
Mm-hmm.
years.
Wow.
Right. Or I've been able to move people who were anti-abortion into being pro-choice,
Mm-hmm.
just by having conversations with them. And
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that I'm like, that's how I redefine my win
Yes.
versus like whatever's happening in office and things of that nature. And so that's honestly how I stay motivated, is reminding myself that like it's okay staying disciplined and knowing that at the end we are still shifting the tide on these issues and building the community. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You touched uh, originally you said to help like donate at food banks and things like that. So I've got some QR codes. The first one that's up right now is for one called the Grocery Spot. It's a place in Atlanta that gives food out to the community. While they are doing that, they are also helping or asking for donations to meet the increasing need of our communities. The next QR code I'm about to share is an organization called Power Atlanta, also another food bank. They give food out on Thursdays. They actually are open now until 3 p.m., but another place to donate. We also have a list of resources that we can share. And here is another QR code if you have. This is a free food ATL map. So if you scan this QR code up on the screen, you'll be able to see a map of all of the active. It was updated yesterday. Places that you can get resources if you are impacted or need any immediate needs. So this one right here, the food map QR code that's up, it will show you everything, or just a multitude of places you can go beyond Atlanta, because we all know that Atlanta is more than just Atlanta. So there's that. Um, and the last one I'm putting up is our pledge to vote. I asked you like what keeps you going when all of this is happening. And for me, my answer, number one, I'm so grateful to like do movement work as my job. Like I get to wake up and be a part of this change. But really just thinking about um uh I feel like I only owe it to my ancestors, honestly, to keep moving. Like they've been through worse, and I don't like to try to use that. Oh, it's been terrible. We can get through terrible again. But like what I do know is that we can build community, and our community has always sustained us, regardless of whatever administration, whatever policy, whatever era it is. We are still here today because we are resilient, because we care for each other, because we know how to care for ourselves. And I'm like this time in the most like eerie of ways has created a space where people want connection and are seeking that, and I am able now to build new communities um, based off of the need for us to be together to like stand against what's happening. So that's what keeps me like that's what fuels me um like I just even say like creating finding personal spaces that have nothing to do with politics, like playing like at open mics where we just get to have a good time when people are trying to find places to just be. So yeah, those are things that's keeping me forward. Is like I get to live and experience beyond what other forces may want me to do. So doing that
Mm,
was
I
bigger.
love that.
Yes.
Like,
That's all.
I mean, because the joy is resistance,
Yes,
and
it
yes, it
is.
very much is.
It is. So I think that is it. I would love to thank everyone who tuned in, whether it was on YouTube, Instagram, uh, I think we have Facebook Live up here as well. Please stay tuned. If you're up here, you probably follow us on social media already. That's cool. Just go ahead and like share something else that we have on our social media page, like our pledge to vote. Um, the last when we checked, we were at what, Michelle? 99.
Yep. Pulling it up now to tell you where we are.
We're at 100. I had it up
Hey,
too.
okay, so we have one person.
So like we need like a few more of y'all.
I say everybody who's like currently on right now, share it to 5 of your folks.
Yes.
Like if you live in a household with people who are over 18, each of them need to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and all this, even if you've already voted, you should also take it too, because
Yeah.
then like it just helps out. It allows us to one show a record of people who are pledging to vote when we talk to like elected officials, because that's the whole point of having a trusted messenger like us.
Yes.
We can then say like, hey, we're representing these group of people who are behind us, and these are the issues that are there. So like on there, you can also tell us the issues that you're really passionate about. We want to know more about you, and so yeah, all that jazz.
So
And
join
but I'm
us.
so excited, especially with you coming in as a new host for Yawa. It's going to be a really exciting time, especially as we go into 2026.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Thank you guys so much. Follow us again on all social media platforms. Share our pledge to vote to your friends and family, at least 5. I would love to see 150 by the end of the day. Y'all have a great evening. Be safe. And yeah, the work doesn't stop. It doesn't stop now. It won't stop tomorrow. So we'll see you guys at the next Yawa episode. Stay tuned for more. See you guys.